Today on the Diz List, we count down our top 5 guilty pleasures at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything at Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and today we're going to count down the top 5 guilty pleasures at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of them for people.
There is, and it's funny because I started naming all these things, and then I went back and I looked at the definition, and I'm like, I don't know if these all necessarily count. So I changed my list a couple times.
I have rides, I have foods, I have activities. I've got a good mix here.
Me too.
Yeah.
So what I found, and I was trying to sort of live by this if I could, is something such as a movie, television program, music that one enjoys despite feeling that it is not generally held in high regard.
Oh yeah, that's basically what I've got.
Okay. Because you know me, I like to start with a good definition so we all have this similar baseline.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not sure if it all perfectly fits, but it's this list is all in definitely me and what I like to do at the parks. So
yeah, mine too.
Okay, good, excellent. All right, how do you want to begin today? Do we want to talk about last week or do we want to end with last week?
Oh, we can talk about last week.
Okay.
So last week we held our election. We did our presidential debate.
Yes.
Those results are being released on Patreon when we release our weekly mini.
Cool.
And then next week we will reveal to everyone else who the president of the podcast will be until the end of next year.
It was very close. I mean, most of the time that I looked and when I went on to vote, almost every single time. I think there was one time, this is kind of a funny story. So, listener of the podcast, two of them, Brian and Todd, sent me a text with a screenshot, and like you were winning by a lot, and because they're my good friends, and you know them too. They're just messing around. They go, "What is this? How are you losing by so much? We need this to." So
it was probably early in one of the polls or something.
It was, and then by the end of the day, I think. What did you do? 3 different days, I think we ran?
We did 3 total different days.
By the end of every day, it was so close.
Wednesday,
it was
Thursday,
almost
Friday.
50-50 every day.
Yeah.
But that's cool, though. Like
I have not. I wanted to reveal everything with you.
Yeah.
I have not tabulated the results yet.
I don't know
I
yet
wanted
either.
to be with you when we finally find out who's president of the podcast. Not that it matters because we get to decide absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It's just bragging rights that we won.
Yeah. We both already have veto power of like episode ideas.
Yeah. But there's only 2 of us, so there's no tiebreaker.
That's true. That is true. So, look, this is just a fun thing that we're going to do. And then next year we're going to have another one. And instead of doing...
we'll do a different platform.
Yeah, do different kinds of platforms. We'll do different things every year. I think it's fun to have an annual thing to look forward to, like our March Madness or whatever.
Yep, agree.
Where we can kind of look forward to doing something like that.
Yep.
It'll be a 1-year term that we will stand as president.
Okay.
We should come up with some sort of a
Constitution.
a token though to like represent our presidency. I don't know how.
Something that we can put in the background of our video or something.
Yeah.
Like a medallion.
Or maybe like when my name comes across the bottom.
There you go.
Or when your name comes across the bottom, whoever's president, it'll say, instead of Rob, it'll say Mr. President Rob.
Now,
or Rob President. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Put it as the subtitle. So it'll just
for
say
a year?
Diz List Rob.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know if
Switch
people,
it out.
I don't know if people pay attention to the subtitles, but I try to put something funny in them all the time. Like one week, I think it was
mustard connoisseur.
Yeah, mustard connoisseur for me, and so stuff like that. But no.
Wait, one more question though.
Okay, go ahead.
Does the loser become vice president, or the loser is just nothing?
I mean, maybe we run this like the old school presidency, where like the second place votes was vice president.
Sure.
Okay. So I guess either way, one of us I'm going to be vice president at the very least.
Well, you actually have a connection to an actual president, don't you?
Like 17 of them, yeah.
It's crazy that you can connect your lineage back that far.
Well, it's all so. Quick aside, my lineage can be tracked back to the Mayflower, and if you have a Mayflower relative, you can pretty much guarantee that related to some pretty big people in politics and in, the founding of our country, but also your genealogy becomes a lot easier to follow because those people have been studied so much. So that's the
cool.
main reason. If I didn't have that line, like if I go through my father's lineage, like it ends in Quebec City because the guy came from France and had a kid, and I can't find anything about the father over in France, but I can find plenty of stuff.
Have you done Ancestry.com at all?
I have. I don't use Ancestry.com. No,
Okay.
I use a different site, but yeah, it's the same kind of.
Okay. Our family did it. Someone got it as a gift one year, and my parents sort of filled out as much as they could, and
I'm actually related to Walt Disney.
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting.
That's cool too.
It makes sense that it's like some crazy 18th cousin 52 times removed probably, but
That's so cool. I mean, that's the truth is when it's mapped out so clearly, you can connect so many different people.
Yeah. It's just one of the site I use will be like famous people you're related to, and it'll, because it knows that one person in my family tree is super famous, being the Mayflower passenger, then it's easy to connect
to others.
A lot. Oh yeah,
that's cool.
So, but yeah, that was a quick aside, but let's go ahead and start talking about our guilty pleasures.
Sure.
You want to lead off with your number 5? Guilty
yeah,
pleasure
my
at
number
Disney
5 is food related.
Okay.
And I'll go back to the definition again, is that this is not held in high regard. And I know that the other side of the table doesn't hold this one in high regard, but it's something that I actually enjoy. And there's a lot of different places where I can enjoy this. I enjoy a quick service meal, and specifically a quick service burger. And not a lot of people do. But I will tell you, on my most recent trip, we ate over at Cosmic Ray's. And everyone in our party said, man, I'm telling you, this burger doesn't stink.
I'm not going to lie.
They were good.
I had one of the best quick service chicken sandwiches I've ever had, or fast food chicken sandwiches I've ever had.
Yeah.
At Cosmic Ray's this time.
Was it breaded or grilled?
It was a breaded fried chicken with
great
hot sauce. But I'm sure they could do it not breaded so it's gluten free. But it was a hot chicken sandwich, and it was one of the best ones I've had. And I was expecting it to be garbage, and my brother looked at me and was like, this is actually really good.
Yeah, because we eat there every time almost. Like our go-tos when we're at Magic Kingdom for quick service is we'll do Pecos Bills.
Yep.
Every time, which I did not like on this last trip, but I got something different just to anyway. But I am a fan of Pecos Bills. I'm a Peter Pan of Pecos Bills. Wow. the hard part I actually said right. And then Cosmic Ray's was extra good this time. I feel like it's always kind of been average, but I think quick service in general is not always held in high regard because it's quick service, and you generally associate that with it being not as good food, but it was pretty darn good.
Yeah,
so my guilty pleasure 5 is enjoying a quick service burger wherever that is, and I'll mention a couple others that I thought are really good too. The I think it's Connections Cafe. Is that the name of the new place there in Epcot?
Yeah.
I got a Santa Fe burger there, which is kind of like salsa.
Their burgers are borderline not quick service. They're that good.
They were excellent. That was really good there too.
Pizza's really good there.
And this is a burger / not burger, but at the ABC Commissary, if you ever go there and you get their grilled chicken sandwich, the chicken was like this thick. It was huge. It was like almost hard to eat for me. Like I think at one point I cut the whole thing in half and just ate it in 2 halves.
Yeah,
it was grilled. It wasn't like what you're talking about, but it was just enormous. It was huge.
I mean, quick service has over the last few years gotten better. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah.
Because Disneyland for a while had been considered like, if you want good quick service, Disneyland's the place to go. But I feel like Disney World's gotten better the last couple years.
I would agree. Yeah. What do you got for 5?
My number 5 is a ride. It's a ride that we like to kind of maybe diss a little bit, or at least this type of ride. And it's only this singular ride of this type that I do enjoy as a guilty pleasure, and that is Dumbo. So spinner rides are dumb. They just really are. But something about riding Dumbo, which maybe it's held in high regard, but probably with the 4-year-old to 7-year-old crowd, not so much with the 43-year-old crowd. I love it. It's just fun. You will not see a bigger smile on my face than the smile I had on my face when my brother and I poured ourselves. These two big dudes
Your
poured ourselves
caption,
into.
I don't know if you want to say it or not, but your caption was hilarious when you posted that picture.
Oh, I think it was something about, I wonder if the hydraulics will hold up. Because, like, we're not small individuals. My brother's not as big as I am, but, like, we were not small. And we lifted that thing up, and at first it wouldn't go up. He's like, oh, my God, this is embarrassing. And then you go,
We're in big trouble.
Then it finally went up. But, like, it was just so much fun. Like, now, granted, we were basically sitting on each other's laps because it was, like, that tight in there.
Yeah.
But it's just a guilty pleasure. It reminds me of carnivals and the smaller mom and pop type of amusement parks from my childhood, where you would go on. Every one of them had a spinner ride, and like I can remember this one in Wilmington, New York. It's called Santa's Workshop, and they have bobsleds that go up. Bobsleighs.
Sleds.
An individual is a sled.
Is it?
Multiple are bobsleigh.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say sleds.
Yes, but
in
either
this
way,
particular instance, sure.
I should know this, but
sure.
Anyway, but yeah, those.
Is this
ones,
the place by Lake Placid? It's right by Whiteface.
Yep.
Okay.
Because Whiteface isn't actually in Lake Placid. Whiteface is in Wilmington.
Right, and it's
And so
like
that's
15 minutes.
Yep. 15.
Yeah, we stayed there once. It was really nice.
It's about 15 minutes to the east.
Right.
Southeast, I guess. But anyway, yeah, that reminds me of that. It reminds me of going to Great Escape as a kid. I don't know. The Dumbo does it for me. Now, you're not going to catch me saying that about Triceratops Spin. You're not going to catch me saying that about Aladdin's Carpets. But Dumbo, heck yeah. Love me some Dumbo.
So I'm going to jump in because my 4 is so similar to yours. It's slightly different. But, it's... One other thing that I was thinking of a lot when I was putting this list together is what is generally not held in high regard for a 40-something-year-old dad.
Right. That's part of what my
right.
list
And I think that's important context for a lot of this list is you and I both fall into the category.
Yeah.
And, for moms, it's also kind of the same, but I think dads has a more ridiculous connotation because moms are generally kind of cool and can do whatever they want.
More accommodating to their children.
Yeah, moms listening, your guys are pretty awesome. Dads, we can be pretty dorky. So a lot of these things.
No comment.
I know, we just kind of say, hey, whatever. So my number 4 is just riding kids' rides in general.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
And I included Barnstormer specifically, Aladdin.
Barnstormer's an honorable mention for me.
So. Right. And then I thought too, over at Disneyland, there's a ton of these. There's that little boat ride with all the little models where you go into Monstro's mouth. There's Casey Jr. train over there. So there's so many more at Disneyland than there is at Walt Disney World. And I realize this is a Disney World podcast, but those two are, when we went there, we rode them. None of us cared. I'm there with teenagers, and the teenagers were like, cool, let's do it. Why not? They enjoyed it too. So my number 4 guilty pleasure kind of attaches with yours, sort of, and that's just riding the kids' ride. Small World's kind of a kids' ride too, if you think about it.
I would toss.
Same with Peter Pan, all those.
I think Small World's definitely a guilty pleasure type of thing because people don't like to admit they like it, right? And that's what a guilty pleasure is.
Jeez,
really,
it's my wife's favorite, and I think it's your daughter's favorite too.
If it's not her favorite, it's her like top 3.
Right.
Yeah, because hers
that may have changed.
Hers move around a little bit because she's young and now she gets to ride roller coasters and stuff. But as far as classic rides, that's definitely her favorite dark ride.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one, and it's true. Like as 40-somethings, especially 40-something dads, you don't usually picture like us getting into a cart at like the like you said, the going on to Barnstormer or sitting on Dumbo or whatever and enjoying it, but like we unironically do enjoy them
for sure.
That
was my 4, so I kind of piggybacked on you, so
that's okay.
We'll do your 4 before the break here.
Yeah, my number 4 is a food item, but it's a food it's kind of a condiment. Okay, and
a turkey leg isn't a condiment.
Yeah.
Is it mustard?
It is not mustard. That is not a guilty pleasure of mine. I feel zero guilt about mustard.
And that's true because mustard isn't something that's held in
mine is plastic cheese, and you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
The neon cheese that would survive the apocalypse. like a nuclear holocaust could come down from, like they could drop a bomb on the factory and that stuff would still be okay to eat. It is the Twinkie of dairy. It's not even dairy. Twinkie of fake dairy products. It lasts forever.
I think a good way to describe it is if you go to, a Bills game or a Sabres game and you get the nachos, you get the little cup with that like glowing
Yes.
orangish.
Yeah.
It's more orange than yellow. I feel like it should be yellow, but it's definitely orange.
Yeah. It's like a Velveeta, but even hot. Even
Yeah.
like a. So anyway, that on anything. I don't care what it is. Whether it's on fries with some like bacon bits or some and they'd have to be fake bacon bits. I think that's hilarious when you get those.
Those are and they're not bad.
No. Or like to dunk my my pretzel in. We talked about how last week I love pretzels, soft pretzels, and I said I'm kind of picky about the cheese. I like it either really, really good gourmet or absolutely awful neon plastic cheese. I don't know what it is, but that stuff is a guilty pleasure for me. You know what I'm talking? Like,
yeah, I don't love it though. And that's why it works. And that's why it works pleasure. Because yeah.
It's just one of those things for me. I don't know what it is, but when I go to Disney, I feel like it's the only place I eat it because I don't seek that out.
No,
like where else am I gonna? You're right. You can get it at like a Bills game or whatever, but like to me, this is just this is just where I get it. Is in Disney.
When you order nachos, that's kind of what it comes with, and it's kind of funny. This has happened more recently. Is that getting those nachos since I would say probably the 80s, as long as I can remember, has always been that little cup of, we'll call it plastic cheese, right?
Yep.
I feel like now they're starting to migrate and you're starting to get a little cup peel back salsa. It'll say like cheese on the top and you pull it back and then you got your little salsa to dip in. Yeah. Have you seen that? They do that a lot now.
I have. Yes, I have. I'm disappointed by that.
Well, salsa has kind of risen to become, I think it's the number one.
It's the number one condiment in the United States.
How can that be above ketchup?
People eat a lot more salsa than ketchup.
That's true.
When you sit down to eat salsa,
right? If you look at the amount that I consume, that's fair, right?
Yeah. You eat a half jar at minimum.
Yes.
When you sit down,
yeah, absolutely.
But like nobody puts a half thing of ketchup on top of their hot dog.
I don't know. I have some friends from college who do.
Ugh. Yuck.
Anyway, he said it was an Irish thing.
What?
My buddy Mike says it's Irish thing. He'll dunk everything in like a swimming pool of ketchup.
All right. Well, I never heard that, but I guess we're gonna head off to the halftime. Brought to you by the Irish ketchup lovers, as well as our Patreon patrons. If you don't know what Patreon is, you can go over to patreon.com/DizListPod. Check it out. You can join for free, where you can be and let us know what your IG handle is, and we'll add you to our Instagram close friends. You'll get some exclusive stories now and then, especially when we're in the parks. For a small fee, if you join as a paid member, you get early access to new episodes as well as bonus content. But thank you to our Patreon members. We really couldn't do this without you. We're going to head off to the halftime show, and we'll see you right after this. Welcome back. So today we're discussing our favorite guilty pleasures at Disney World. We have a lot. We have stuff that are rides. We have stuff that's food, activities that we like to do. But guilty pleasures, as Rob defined, are things that maybe people don't think of as being great. They're not held in high regard, and yet we hold them in high regard.
Yes.
So,
despite what the rest of the world thinks.
Correct. So why don't you go ahead and tell us your number 3?
My number 3 actually has a visual. So the I will describe for the people who are listening on the podcast, but since we have this opportunity, we are also on YouTube.
Correct.
I didn't do this on purpose, but it just kind of worked out perfectly. If you are interested in watching, or you want to just kind of have it on around the house, and you can also find us on YouTube now. And is it Dizlist Pod on YouTube also?
Yeah, you can just do @Dizlist Pod actually as a search. But, yeah.
So anyway, my number 3 is wearing matching shirts. Which I don't always love, but today I'll kind of move up a little bit so people can see.
Yeah, so I will describe. Rob is wearing a matching shirt that we all wore on our trip. We all picked a country.
Yep.
In Epcot, and we have this. Basically, it's a Figment outline silhouette, and inside of the figment is a flag, and it's a flag of the country we picked. Now that's the one Rob's wearing, but like any kind of matching shirt is Rob's jam.
Yeah, and I also am guilty of laughing at and I know this is going to come out as mean. He's a jerk. I don't like a lot of the matching shirts. I don't like because I'm so particular about it.
Yeah, you're a designer.
I'm a designer, and when it's a ridiculous design, it bothers me. It's one of my pet peeves. I can't help it.
Somebody has a Cricut machine, and
Yes.
they were able to download for free the Waltography, which is the font that looks like Disney World.
And they do most expensive day ever, or
those ones bug us.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't look. If you're somebody who has like you're going on a family trip and you have the Disney dad, although we joke about those, but the Disney dad, Disney mom, Disney child, whatever. That's one thing. But the most expensive day ever, or
don't be negative.
Yeah, my favorite villain is my wife. Like those ones.
Yeah,
are like,
I don't like that either.
But we do have
a bummer.
We also did a matching shirt, which we can't sell this one, but
I'm gonna see if I can find the picture. Describe that too.
Yeah, so we did a matching shirt where everybody was a different member of the Seven Dwarfs crew. So there were seven dwarves, and then there was Snow White. And what we did was we dressed up, and they were all different colors of the rainbow. And when we basically took the pictures, we would line up in the Roy G. Biv kind of order, and it was really cool. People were always like, "Oh, look at this! This is really great!" And then they sent us over to go meet Snow White because they thought that was fun. It was just fun because it was like everybody picked somebody from their personality.
But the important,
That was
a
loud.
little too close to the mic. Sorry, folks. But the other thing I want to say too about this is, so I'm an art teacher, and I teach design and drawing for younger kids, and I drew all of the different Seven Dwarfs, and I had them custom made. But I want to be clear here, and I want to be clear that like we can't sell those.
No,
because I can't be.
No, you can't sell Disney IP. Obviously,
right? That's Disney
not,
property.
That's not what we're looking to do at all. But like if you're not making money on them and you're designing them yourself, and then just obviously we didn't sell those. We paid for somebody to make them. But yeah, it's fun when we do those things. Even just little things like if you're going to Animal Kingdom and you all wear something that's like Lion King themed, or if you're all going to Hollywood Studios and you're all wearing like Monsters Inc. themed stuff.
I love that stuff.
Star Wars is what I usually wear when I go to Hollywood Studios, but that's me.
So we actually almost did this. This one didn't end up happening, but we almost did for Animal Kingdom all the Lion King characters. And then I think we got to the point where we were like, okay, this is going to be way too expensive to do a custom T-shirt for all eight of
every
us.
day.
Yeah. But the Epcot ones that we talked about earlier, we have those. If you guys are interested,
yeah, the Epcot ones.
Contact us. You can go to magicmerch.art, and we have those because those are. I would say it's the silhouette of Figment, but it isn't really a copyright. It's not really a copyright issue. Like we can't. The only thing we could actually sell that has any kind of Disney thing is like, oh, well, they have that here too. Yeah. And this wasn't even on purpose. Like, for example, our buddy Tom Bullman, who's a friend of the show, who makes these different sneakers, made a Steamboat Willie sneaker because Steamboat Willie now is in the public domain, so you can sell that. Yeah. But yeah, I'll get back to the point here, and we kind of got off on a tangent, but for good stuff, is that I think group shirts can be really cool if they're done right and they're creative and funny. It's kind of like a Halloween costume. You can go to Walmart and buy just like a plastic mask and a almost like a smock with Spider-Man printed on it, and that's fine. But I love it when someone does something really cool and creative that I haven't seen that just looks so cool.
No, I
love it.
And they don't even have to be that obvious, right? It could be, dressing up with band T-shirts. I think you talked about doing this.
Yeah.
Band T-shirts of the bands that play the songs on Cosmic Rewind.
Yes.
Like something like that.
We are going to do that at some point because we all four of us picked a different group. I think my daughter and I both ended up picking Tears for Fears, so I may have to bump to a different one. My son picked Flock of Seagulls.
Bullet.
think my wife picked Blondie. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I could do that.
Yeah.
And then, oh gosh, I forgot who does Disco Inferno. That's one of them too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, that was another fun group. And if you are a listener and you've done kind of a fun, interesting group T-shirt that you want to share with us,
Yeah, let us know.
that we would love to know that. And I'm always looking for new fun things to do when we go on our trips.
Yeah. My number 3 is a ride again.
Mm-hmm.
This ride is a ride that most people would say they go on if they have to, or they go on once. They've been on once.
Once.
Yeah, it's something people
Only once.
I think a lot of people don't do this ride multiple times, and that is
Astro Orbiter?
nope, Living with the Land.
Really?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't like it. I feel this is definitely a guilty pleasure because
I think you're right. And I think that's fair. A, that's definitely you. And B, I think there are people that go, what is this? Learning? I'm out of here.
well, and like
Who wants to learn? I'm on vacation.
not even the learning, like just looking at all the plants is the part that I love.
Yeah,
And like
me too.
For me, it's one of my favorite rides at Disney, and it's silly, but it is. I will, given the choice, if there's a 30-minute wait for Living with the Land or a 30-minute wait for Soarin', I probably would pick Living with the Land first.
Yeah, I might too.
I just love it, and it's one of those things that most people don't, and I get it. I understand why, but I love it. I think it's great. I love the scenes that lead up to the greenhouses.
We get to yell, "Go Bills!" when we see the buffalo.
And they fixed the fire part, the part where the prairies are on fire. They also, when you go through and you look at the basically they're raising the fish there that you can eat, and they're using the water from that to help fertilize the plants. There's some really cool stuff. And then I just have a higher respect for it too now that I've done Behind the Seeds, that tour. So I don't know. I just love Living with the Land. It's a great ride. So that's my number 3.
Great one. My number 2 can be very annoying, and I apologize if you've sat near me on a ride when I've done this or a show when I have done this.
Oh, no.
And that is singing along in attractions that aren't specifically a sing-along. Because there are some that are specifically. Frozen is, Beauty and the Beast is. But I have / we, because you've joined in at least on one of these, have joined in the sing-along on a couple individual attractions.
I'm gonna defend myself here. I think because the one you're talking about is Carousel of Progress.
Correct, that's one of them. Yeah.
And I think Carousel of Progress is a sing-along. I'm sorry, when you're moving from one to the other, that's completely okay.
How about clap along? Do you think that is not? Because back to the definition. Generally not held in high regard to be singing along on a ride.
I mean,
I'll tell you one thing I hate, though. To be fair, though, I hate it when someone is in Haunted Mansion and at the beginning they're like full volume saying all of the whole narration part from the ghost host. I will do it in my head, but I don't do it full volume for everyone. But I think these rides,
I think the one that
I haven't even said them all yet.
Go ahead.
Because they're all conducive to that fun, interactive element. So I put Country Bears, but I'm talking OG Country. Well, not even OG because it kind of evolved a pinch through the years. The original one, that's clapping, sing along at least to the first song. I enjoy, and then you and I were going a little wild on Carousel of Progress because it's a great one to sing along to and clap along to that one. I love it. And my kids this is a little annoying but it's really funny. My kids have created English lyrics to the Navi River Journey ride. At the end, when they start singing in Navi, they created something that has
something
to do
about
with
lasagna.
Something or pizza. I think it's nacho pizza or something. I don't know. But they created their own lyrics to it. But go ahead and add your 2 cents. But I know that it's not held in high regard to necessarily clap and sing along. I mean, it should be. I mean, it's always kind of been part of our culture. But a lot of times I'll get with a different group on Country Bears where it's just a stuffy group that doesn't want to party.
I think you have to. So Rob doesn't necessarily always read the room on this one.
No, I'm ready to party. I paid enough money. I'm going to clap.
I think if you're with a group of people that is not you're not with so if it's if your family of 4 goes, right, and it's you guys and you're in an 8-person ride vehicle, I think that sometimes you need to tone it back.
Yeah.
And I'm not criticizing you because you are just loving life at that moment.
Yeah.
And I say this as somebody who sings along and tries to get people to sing along in Carousel of Progress, which is like, obviously not an 8-person ride vehicle. It's the entire theater.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a little different. I don't know. I could be wrong. I know it. Look, I don't get annoyed by it. So I guess doesn't bother me. The nacho pizza or whatever, the lasagna thing, the Navi River one, I think it's hilarious. So I would laugh, but like I don't know if other people would think it's as funny as I do.
The last time we were there, we were on Frozen, Frozen Ever After, the boat ride, right? That one's Ever After, right? Yeah. And we were on with a group of adults who had definitely enjoyed some
Drinking Around the World.
Correct. And they were full volume singing the whole time, but it was really funny. And I know for a lot of people listening, like, that's ridiculous, that would make me mad. Most of the time it would, but I feel like this was the 1 out of 10 times where they were actually really funny and it didn't drive me crazy.
Well, I think also, and I do think you do read the room better than maybe I alluded to, because you would not do that if it was a family who got on with like a couple toddlers. Yeah. Like, you're not going to ruin the experience for, but like, if like that group right there, right? If they had done that and it's like a toddler and like, you know, a young family and
the little, their daughter's wearing like a princess something.
That's not good. But like when they see you get in with your teenage kids, I think that's fun. Like, I don't have an issue with that at all.
This was kind of, I don't know if you count this revenge or whatever, but when we were going down the hill and they did the picture, all of us posed like we were full volume singing. We all went like, and made this face like we were singing. So if they had PhotoPass and they got that back, they had the 4 of us in the front doing our best impression of them. Yeah,
that's funny.
It was good. So
that's pretty funny. Actually,
we have that picture somewhere. I'll have to show it to you or post it.
That's funny.
We'd have to blur out the other people's faces.
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe they're listeners. We could be like, "Is this you?"
Well, and I didn't have anything negative. I mean, I did, but I didn't. I was kind of like poking fun at them, but it didn't really bother me that much. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 2 is singing along in attractions that aren't specifically sing along attractions.
Number 2 for me is another food item. Is it food item? Another
what? Is it a food item?
So it's not a food item. It's a place to eat.
Oh, okay.
So okay. I guess it's not food item.
Gotcha.
But it's literally going to and eating at Pecos Bill's.
Yeah.
Which is my one guilty pleasure restaurant in all of like Magic Kingdom that I feel like I can go back to. I know it's closing. I get it. Well, they haven't said that, but it's going to close. Let's be honest.
They'll probably retheme it and make it Tiana's Kitchen.
It's gonna, that'd
be cool.
I just feel that
because they could still have tacos. It would still fit with that kind of that southern vibe. And
maybe.
I feel like they would still have that on the menu.
No,
but
not in a.
You think it'll purely just be jambalaya and
it'll be Cajun style stuff?
But there's a burger everywhere. There's pizza everywhere. There's nuggets everywhere.
It doesn't have to be.
Well, I would say this.
There's not a burger at Pecos Bill's.
I would be surprised if they did not have tacos in some form on the menu still. I'd be surprised.
I disagree.
I think they still would.
I'll put money on it that says that if it changes to Tiana's Kitchen, it's not going to.
Well, I mean, tacos are such a popular thing. I mean, they could do that in one of the other places in Magic Kingdom.
Yes, but that's not the same as having it still on the same menu.
I agree to disagree. I think they would keep them.
Okay. Well, I will put money on it now. You willing to do that?
Sure.
If it closes, not money. Here's this. If it closes and reopens as Tiana's Kitchen and there's tacos still on the menu, when we're there, if we're ever there again together, which I would like to think we will be, dinner at the new Tiana's, if there's tacos still there, I will buy you the
on me or vice versa. That's fair.
Or on me.
That's good. That's really good.
But no tacos on the menu. They take the tacos off. You're buying the meal.
That's a deal. That's a good one.
So it's not actually like changing hands money. It's who's buying the bill, who's paying for the bill at Pecos Bill's when it turns over to Tiana's.
Right. That's fair.
I think that's a fun one.
Yep.
So that's my number 2. I love it. I love the food
Pecos
there.
Bills.
Yeah, I love the food there. I think the food is actually not horrible. It's comparable to Taco Bell, which isn't great either, but like it's a guilty pleasure. It's not supposed to be something that's gourmet, right?
We had a bad experience last time, but out of the 10 times we've been together, just as our family, it's been good 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I would agree with you. That's a good one to pick. But again, fast food, quick service, it's always kind of looked down and frowned upon. So
yeah, I mean,
think that's a good
had
choice.
quick service in general. I just
Yeah. Well, and specifically, it was just enjoying a quick service burger. So for you, Pecos Bills, it's fine. I'm not.
Yeah, and that's high up my list because I do it every year. So
Yeah.
all right, that's my number 2. What is your number 1 guilty pleasure?
Curious if we overlap on this at all.
I don't think so
Um,
because I'm pretty sure I know what your number 1 is. But go ahead.
really?
I could be wrong.
No. My number 1 is meeting characters and getting photos with them as an adult.
Oh, so no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought your number 1 was going to be goofy ride photos. But
No,
okay,
no,
go ahead.
no, not at all.
Okay.
Meeting characters and getting photos with them as an adult. Like when we did our family photos, there was a couple times where I said, "Nope, I just want one with me in it," and I don't care. I think it was great. Some 40-year-old guy, doing the thumbs up or okay, cast a spell with Mickey. Like I don't care. That's a guilty pleasure of mine. Getting to see Mickey in the Fantasia outfit, Sorcerer Mickey, was so exciting for me. I don't know why. I was so pumped to get a picture with Sorcerer Mickey at Epcot. It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was great.
So for me, I'm not a huge fan of it's always so awkward to me. However, there are some characters that when I see them, I am going to get in line and I'm going to get a picture taken.
Mm-hmm.
So like any Star Wars character, forget it. I'm giving Chewie a hug. Like, come on.
I know. I
It's
got
just-
to have that photo
like,
too.
Like giving Chewie a hug is just like the best.
Yeah.
And so there are those characters. I love meeting Donald whenever I can.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's pretty. Him and Pluto, I see all over the place.
Yeah.
It's great.
And then like the odd characters. Sometimes they have like in Epcot, there's that one spot where they do character training kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so you might see some different folks there. But it's always so awkward. I don't know what to say. And so I get it that like that's you.
Yeah.
It's not one of my things. I don't judge you for it
Yeah.
because I think that is a very big guilty pleasure for a lot of adults is like standing in line, waiting in line to meet a Disney princess or to meet a character that's not a face character maybe, but like either way, like I get it. There's a lot of people that love that.
You know what script I take from? He's a YouTuber. His name is the Tim Tracker.
Yeah.
I know you're familiar with him. I don't know if our
Yeah.
listeners are. He has a way of communicating with the different characters that I think is really good, and I take a lot from what he does. So he basically comes up and says, "Hello, Mickey. How are you today?" And then Mickey kind of moves back, and then he says, "Do you mind if I get a picture with you today? Would that be okay?" And like, it's just the way that he communicates with them is it's very smooth. It's not very awkward. So I kind of take what he does and I do a different version of that because my family doesn't really know what to say either. So I kind of like jump in and take over.
It's
And
extremely awkward.
Let's
Let's call it like it is.
it can be, but
If it's a face character, it's not.
right, because you can communicate, right?
Correct.
So I kind of go by that kind of quote unquote script that Tim does. I think Tim does a good job with
I think that's a great one.
interacting with the character. So I do Tim Tracker on that one. So my number 1, I absolutely love it. Meeting characters and getting photos with them as an adult.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But my number 1 is something that we do. And I know you do it. And it's one of those things that's just a guilty pleasure of mine because it's probably frowned upon. And it's people watching / listening. And what I mean is sometimes you play like the bingo, like how many Disney Dad shirts?
Yeah.
Or like, the Overheard at Disney, like Twitter account or whatever it is. Like one of those
It's
things.
really funny.
Yeah, Overheard at Disney. Like I'm not eavesdropping intentionally necessarily, but like some of the things you hear at Disney, because families are either at their best or at their worst. And so it's just one of those things. Or my favorite is listening to somebody who has zero clue. They've done zero research. And like, I always look at my wife. Do I tell them? should I tell them that like what they're saying is not going to work?
Where can I buy the My Disney Experience?
Right? Or the lady who was in front of us at like, she's in line. I paid for Genie Plus, and the lady's like, "Do you have reservations?" And she had no clue that like not only did you have to pay for the Genie Plus, but then you had to like select what rides you wanted to do. I felt bad for her, but it was one of those things like if I had heard her in line, I would have told her that, but she was already trying to get on a ride. Things like that, or things like where I love overhearing this, and it happens all the time. Mommy, when are we going to see Harry Potter?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're in trouble.
Yep.
You
You better start walking.
Yeah. When are we going to see Harry Potter? Or, the people who, I mean, there are people who show up thinking that when you go to Magic Kingdom, this is West Coast people, they show up and they're like, we're going to go to Galaxy's Edge. And it's like, not in our Magic Kingdom, you're not.
Nope.
And if you only bought a one-day ticket, guess what?
And not a park hopper.
Yeah.
Because you could hop over to the other one.
People watching and listening, and this includes just like the little things like searching for that Bills hat so you can yell "Go Bills" across the parking lot or across and it's just something you do. We were on Alien Swirling Saucers this year. My brother and I were sitting together again because we just thought it was funny to just sit in like we're always going to ride the little kid rides together. And we're going around, and then I'm like, there's a guy with a Bills hat in line. And so we get whipped around. We're like, as we're whipping by him, "Go Bills!" Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw us, so he gave us this fist pump. But like, stuff like that. I know look, I'm not making fun of you, but like if I go to the county fair, it's like the mullet count at the county fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm doing it at Disney. Like, how many people can I see wearing the most expensive day ever shirt?
Ugh.
And we've had times where we'll text each other back and forth, like, oh, up to 10 now, up to 11. No, I saw my 15th Disney dad. And it's fine. Like, look, those shirts are fine. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, maybe put like an actual Disney dad on a pick, like maybe take an actual character who's a dad and put him on your shirt.
That's a really good idea for a shirt.
Yeah. Like Belle's father. What's his name?
Maurice.
There you go. But just people watching, listening is really kind of like what I really meant here, because the things you hear in line are pretty hilarious. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, that's my number one is people watching and listening to people, because you never know what you're going to hear. The Harry Potter comments are always great. The people who are like, I'm going to take they're at like Epcot. I think we're going to take the monorail over to Animal Kingdom. No, you're not. No, you're not.
That's a good one.
Yeah. No, not happening. Sorry. Guess what? You might want to figure that one out again.
That's funny.
That's my number one. People watching and people listening. But that's my number one.
I only had one other guilty pleasure.
Honorable mention.
And you kind of included it, and it was counting Disney dad shirts, which is, it's just kind of, and I'm sure that probably half of the people listening are either have a Disney dad shirt or has a spouse or a boyfriend or somebody that has one, and it's fine. It's just become so funny. I don't know why. It's just, and my wife got me one as a joke, and I don't know if you were there for this. It's when we went together.
Yeah.
She gave me the shirt, and she told me she needed to get a picture of me wearing it at Disney. So she packed it in her bag, took it out of her bag. I put it on.
It was skin tight, wasn't it?
It was in town. Yeah, it was in Town Square. Yeah. And she took a photo of me there, and
it was like it was something she
somewhere.
got at a flea market or something, I believe.
Yeah, and it was made with like a cricket. It was red with the black lettering.
Look, we have nothing.
So many of them are red.
Yeah.
I know so many of them are like red shirts with black lettering with the cricket.
Yeah.
Or it's so funny.
Or the iridescent cricket print stuff that comes out. Yeah. I have one more guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's frowned upon by people it's the time of day, right? My guilty pleasure is literally opening up Baseline Tap House.
Awesome.
So, because it's hot as hell in Disney.
Yeah.
And you're like,
especially that park.
It's 10:30, and you're darn right. I'm on vacation. I can have a beer at 10:30.
Why not?
And I can have a pretzel, a really good pretzel, with not plastic cheese there, but I can have a really good pretzel and a charcuterie board, and it's 10:30. Some people are still eating their Mickey waffles, and I'm having a beer. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's an honorable mention for me is that. Or I think another honorable mention, which I don't know if this really counts, but it's just because I don't think it's frowned upon, or I don't think but like just window shopping in general. is a guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah, I originally had, and I moved this off of my list. It's funny you say that. I said checking out all of the merch.
Yeah.
And I underlined all, but then I put, I don't think that's something that's frowned upon. I think most people like doing that. So I took it off of my list.
Yeah.
But I love going around and checking out the merch or any videos from any, I don't want to call them Disney influencers, but we'll say Disney YouTubers who walk around and like Tim Tracker does it. I love it. I love watching and just seeing what merch Disney's coming out with. And
yeah,
I love it.
I do too. Or celebrating Christmas in July by buying your Christmas ornaments.
Yeah.
Then, that's
and there's a couple places where you can do that.
Absolutely.
One in Disney Springs and then the one in Liberty Square, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Oh, and in Epcot, because the Germany Pavilion has a bunch of ornaments.
Oh yeah, they do in that middle room.
Yep, and they've got the pickles and stuff you can hang.
Right.
So yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't yet, go over to patreon.com/DizListPod. Follow us on Instagram @DizListPod. Follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube @DizListPod. But it's great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.